Hi everybody, welcome to tonight's Taubmans live colour advice session. My name is Fiona, I'm the Taubmans colour specialist, and we are here this evening to talk all things colour. And we're also here to talk about any projects that you're embarking on and our wonderful portfolio of products that we have, which have been designed to protect and beautify your space. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. So for those of you that are our regulars, welcome back. And for anybody new joining us, I will let you know how our session rolls. So for the first half an hour, I will be on screen here to answer all of your questions, and it's a fantastic time for you to upload any questions that you do have into the feed, and I'll do my very best to answer them live for you. After we finish streaming live, so we do that for half an hour, I generally sit back here for a further half an hour or so to answer any more questions that tend to come in. And also then, it's a fantastic time if you do have any images that you would like to share with us to pop them into the feed then. Unfortunately, when we are live and we're streaming, you can't pop images into the feed. It's impossible for some reason. So if you do that once we finish streaming in front of the camera, I'll do my best to have a look at them and offer some suggestions for you. So as we do each and every week, it's a fantastic opportunity to bring to life our most frequently asked questions. So what we do is we have a look at all of our social media feeds, our platforms, etc. And we find the reoccurring questions that everybody tends to, have an interest in, and we like to sort of collate them and bring them to life because, these sessions are all about you, and we love to keep these sessions real, and we certainly do our best, to make it relevant. So I do have in front of me some questions that we've derived from, as I just said, our social media feeds. I also do have a couple of questions from our viewers already, which is fantastic. But as I said, now it's a fantastic time for you to upload them. We'll begin our session. Thank you. So I'm going to start this evening and let you know that I do have a question here from Carolina. So thank you very much, Carolina, for your question. And you have, I'll read it out. It says, hello, can I please ask what are the most popular whites for a warmer climate interior? And if I should paint ceiling, walls, doors, trims, the same colour, or should the ceiling be lighter than the walls? And then the second part is also, what is a good combination with wind spray colour bond for the roof exterior? Thank you. Okay, that's a really good question, and it seems to be something that we do see a lot of, asking about whether we can use that same colour, throughout the space. And you certainly can, but it's really important to understand that there are products that are fit for purpose. So when I talk about that, so you can use one colour, and I'm going to reference crisp white. And in this instance, Caroline, I would recommend crisp white. It is our number one white. It's a fantastic white. Generally, whites start out as a brilliant white base, and then we add varying tints to create that wonderful world of whites that you'll see when you walk into, let's say, a Bunnings store and you look at that colour wall. So crisp white has a tint which is called raw umber, and when you look at it, it's a murky brown, I'll be honest. But when it's put into our white base, and it's used very minimal tint, obviously, it creates a beautiful white. It's almost a neutral style white, and the white has a wonderful soft glow. So it's a fantastic colour that can be used anywhere throughout the space. There are variances with whites. Some whites, if you've got an area that's absolutely drenched in sun, we might say to use perhaps a cooler toned white. And then if you've got areas that, lack a lot of natural light, that are quite gloomy, we might say to use a warmer white. So you can chop and change, your tones of white throughout your interior. Crisp white, however, is safe to use in a space that is completely sun drenched or in an area that lacks that natural light. But if you're going to use crisp white or any of the whites and you're doing your ceiling, walls, doors and trims, here's the thing. So a ceiling paint is generally a flat finish, and the reason it's a flat finish, it's designed to hide any imperfections, and it's also designed to prevent glancing light. So I'd recommend using something like Taubmans ceiling white, and you could have that tinted into your crisp white. Then for your walls, I would recommend using something like our hero product, which is Taubmans Endure. And you can use that in a low sheen tends to generally be the favoured sheen level or the most popular sheen level. You can certainly use, it comes in a matte as well. You can certainly use a matte sheen level, and a matte sheen level is fantastic if you've got, let's just say for example, an old Queenslander that has a lot of imperfections in the walls. Using a matte's going to help to hide some of those imperfections. Then I would recommend using, and the reason I talk about Enjoy is, as I said, our hero product, a fantastic product. It contains, there's a lot of features and benefits and goodness in the can, if you like, but one thing is NanoGuard technology. So what that means is if you put a standard paint film under a microscope, it generally has a one-size paint particle. When you look at Endure under a microscope, it has that one-size paint particle, but it also has a smaller paint particle. So the paint particles are circular, if you like, and they sort of join, leaving space. And that smaller paint particle fills that airspace, creates what we like to call an interlocking molecular structure. And what that means for your paint is your painted surface, it means that you can scrub your walls. So it is a brilliant product. So you could use something like that. And then for your doors and trims, I'm going to recommend using an enamel style paint, so a water-based enamel. An enamel paint is really hard wearing. It's fantastic for your doors, your trims. You know, just picture this, you've got your trims, your skirting boards, and they can tend to generally get a lot of knocks, whether it's kids playing ball inside, whether it's, knocked by a vacuum cleaner or something. It needs to be hard wearing, so your water-based enamel is going to do that for you. And the beauty of a water-based enamel, it's going to stay true to colour, so your white is going to stay white, which is really important when you're doing, your white on white sort of internal colour scheme, if you like. So that's what I would recommend, Carolina, using all of those different products which are fit for each sort of area that you're painting. Having a look at something like crisp white. As I said before, what makes it so wonderfully fantastic because of the tint that goes in it, and I'll show you the colour on screen, but it's really hard to see when we're looking. I'm lit up like a Christmas tree in here, and the colour's not going to look as true to colour on the screen. And what I would recommend doing is grabbing yourself a sample pot of this colour, and there's a couple of things to take pay particular attention to. So if you'll go, all of our paint, let's just say Bunnings, all of our paint comes into Bunnings on large pallets, and in between the layers of paint we have what are called pallet liners, so large pieces of cardboard. So if you go in there, talk to the friendly team members behind the paint counter, I'm sure they'd be able to help you with acquiring one of these large pieces of cardboard, because what you're going to want to do is to cut yourself 1 metre by 1 metre square. That's a fantastic size sample to test inside and also outside. And what you then do is you're going to give it 3 coats of paint. Now generally something like Taubmans Enjoy is a 2-coat system, but we're going to put another coat on to aid as an undercoat, so that over that cardboard you're going to ensure that you're getting adequate coverage so that you can really see how the colour is going to work. Now there's 2 areas to test your colour. So what I would recommend is, here is your wall, here is your ceiling, grabbing your swatch, so once it's dry, putting it on the wall as close as you can up to the ceiling, and having a look at how it performs in daylight, because daylight gives you the truest form of colour, if you like. And then also of an evening under your lights, because the lighting, depending on the level of lighting, whether you have more of a cool daylight or warm sort of colour tone to your lighting, that can influence and change the colour on your wall. So have a look at those 2. The other place as well is, so here's your wall, here's your floor. Putting your swatch that you've created up against the wall so it's touching on the floor. Now this time, it's really important to have a look at it again in natural daylight, paying particular attention if you've got things like, let's just say, a timber floor, timber flooring, timber floorboards, you're getting a lot of natural sun coming into that area. The colour that your swatch or the wall colour can change. It can be influenced by your flooring colour. So it can sort of take on more of a golden or a warmer tone. But also, and anybody that's watching will know exactly what I'm about to say now, if you've got a red leather lounge, sometimes your walls can look a little bit pink. So it's important to understand how the colour is going to work for you within your space. And then again, even though you've got it sitting, touching the floor, you know, up against your wall, natural light, and again, artificial lighting, just to see how that color works for you. And then, you know what, you're not going to be disappointed with your color. This is something that I tell everybody. I've heard lots of stories from many consumers, you know, that a wonderful white that their friend Jane down the road has used in their house looks fantastic. They have gone and bought the paint, popped it into their own home, and it just doesn't look the same. And that, as I've just explained, your lighting, etc., and the elements that surround and live in your space can influence your wall color. So it's always fantastic. It's always very easy just to test prior. And the same applies for external color as well. Looking at it, doing yourself a swatch as we talked about, popping it out in full sun, and then also putting it into areas that lack light to see how the color is going to perform for you. And whites used in an external application can become, if there's not enough tint or not enough undertone or substance to that white in full sun, it can become really, really glary. So it's really important to test to ensure that that white is going to meet your expectations and perform well within your environment. So I hope that helps, Carolina. If there's anything else that I can help you with, you know, for interior colors, pop something else into the feed. I will talk to your second part of your question, which is a good combination with Wind Spray Color Bond Roof for the exterior. So here is Wind Spray. Wind Spray is a fantastic grey with that bluey undertone. So it depends on, I'm presuming that you're talking that you're living in a warmer climate. So perhaps you're going for a coastal sort of, you know, feel aesthetic. So you could introduce white with that, which would look fantastic. I'd have a look at, or even going a little bit more intense if you like. So I would have a look at, here we go. There's a fantastic colour here called Gazebo White, which looks beautiful up against Wind Spray. I'm going to pop that there. So this is the colour here. Here is Wind Spray. Bear in mind, if you're looking at the screen, it is not going to look, it's not going to look as true to colour or as fantastic as it would in real life, because this is, we're looking at a screen, and everyone's screen, depending on the pixelations, can influence and change the colour. Okay, another colour that I would also suggest to go well with Wind Spray is, where are we? We could have a look at a colour called Flint Smoke. If you're wanting something that's a little bit more, let's say, intense. And again, it's going to help and create a wonderful coastal aesthetic. So that looks fantastic. I'm wondering, you possibly could go slightly warmer. Yeah, so something like Taubmans Tenacity as well looks fantastic with Wind Spray. So that's just a little bit warmer. But again, I would grab yourself a sample pot and test these as I explained, because the colour is going to look really different as opposed to looking at it on a screen. Okay, I hope that helps. Thanks very much. Okay, what else do I have here? Okay, hi Sonia, thank you very much for joining us. You're saying, hi Fiona, if using alpine snow on house cladding and render, white windows, Dover white garage, what colour roof and guttering? I'm thinking surf mist roof with Dover white guttering. Worried the Dover against alpine snow too white for roof. I think surf, sorry, I'm just worried the Dover against alpine snow is too white for roof. Okay, let me just have a look at all these colours together. I'm imagining that you're creating, Sonia, something like a coastal, modern Mediterranean aesthetic, something like that, using all those wonderful whites. Let me just see here with alpine snow. I should know where all these colours live. I look at them all the time. Okay, so let me get it right. You're using alpine snow on house cladding and render. Okay. And then windows, Dover white garage. What colour roof and guttering? I'd be inclined to go, I think surf mist actually looks really lovely with alpine snow. And I would also, I'm going to throw something else in here for you to consider. There's your surf mist and there's your alpine snow. So surf mist is going to look really light as well when you've placed it. As I talked about, when you've got your whites and you're putting them in an external application and you're getting a lot of sun, etc. onto them, they can, I like to use the term bleach out. So they tend to dilute, the colour dilutes when it's in full sun and it can become quite glary. So I leverage what's called LRV, which is light reflectance value. And so surf mist, I always say when you're using whites in an external application, to look, if you don't want any glare and you're living in an area where, where you're going to get a lot of full sun, looking at a colour that sits anywhere from around about 65 to 75, pushing it to 80. And so surf mist sits at around about 67 when we talk about LRV. And when you look at surf mist in full sun outside, it tends to look quite white. So I would be pairing that back nicely with alpine snow. What I'll be doing, Sonia, is getting yourself a sample pot and brushing out a large swatch, as I explained before, once dry, putting it out in the sun and having a look at it different times of day to see how it's going to perform and work for you. I think that that's really important. But I'd certainly be looking at using something like surf mist with it. I think it would work really, really well. I think, that the Dover white against alpine snow is very, very, as you put it as well, like it is quite white. It's quite bright. So I think that, if you're wanting something that's still lovely, white, but is sort of cohesive, I think that surf mist and alpine snow actually sing when they're put together. I hope that helps. Please pop something else into the feed. I'll be very happy to assist you further. Okay, thanks very much, Sonia. Hi, Anthony. How are you going? Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And also Anne, thank you. So you're saying, hi Fiona, which are the best colours for reflection and the best for absorption? So I guess if you're thinking of darker colours tend to absorb more heat and then your lighter colours tend to reflect. So as I was talking about before, LRV, which is light reflectance value. So if you think of a scale and you think of 0 being black and 100 being white, so the lighter the colours that are going up to, say, an LRV of, going up to 100 are really going to be very light and be very reflective. When you're going down to 0, which is black, and then going into, 50. So 50 is sort of your mid-tone. So your black, once again, is going to be very absorbent of heat and things like that. So a really good example, I hope that kind of explains it, but a really good example is when we talk about colours for front doors. So a lot of front door manufacturers have stipulations around colour and the level of colour that can be used on a front door. For example, they like to see their LRV sitting at around about 50 or greater. So 50 is that mid-tone, going up to 100, greater being white. So anything below, so 50 or below, so your mid-tone going down to black, can be too dark and too absorbent. It's going to attract heat, absorb, and the timber can become, another question's just come through. The timber can, from too much heat, can twist and warp. So hence, keeping a colour on new timber front doors lighter is going to prevent that, and then it's going to avoid warranty issues, etc. So I hope that kind of explains it. But yeah, the lighter the colour, it's going to be more reflective, and the darker the colour is going to be more absorbent. If there's anything else I can help you with, pop something else into the feed and I'll be very happy to answer. And thanks for joining us. Okay. Okay, hi, thanks for joining us. That's it, Trades Serviced. Your question says, or you're saying, hello, we have a coastal farmhouse theme. We are using a lot of old furniture, sanding, painting, etc. What colours do you recommend? Thank you. So far we have June so far we have June, shale, grey, gutters, external, but looking for inside the home, thank you. Okay, so a coastal farmhouse theme. So when I'm thinking of a coastal farmhouse, like immediately I'm kind of drawn to green going into, you could go, but then being coastal, I'm probably wanting to keep it a little bit lighter. So there's probably, I've got lots of things that I'm sort of thinking. So coastal farmhouse theme, you could introduce some beautiful greens, and then you could introduce some wonderful whites, which are going to give you that coastal feel. Or you could also even look at going slightly warmer with your whites. We are moving away from just whites, if you like. That's what trends are sort of depicting, and we can see that there's a lot of trends evolving, and colours that are used internally are tending to, when I'm talking about whites, are tending to warm up. So there's a fantastic white, well, white/neutral, going into more of a neutral that I love. And it's the second one down. It's called Aria Ivory. This is beautiful. So it pairs back wonderfully well with things like natural stone, like travertines, terrazzos, etc. And you can really introduce some beautiful greens that will sit really well with that for your sort of coastal farmhouse. So let me just have a look. Old furniture, sanding, painting, etc. And then you have June, shale, grey cutters, external. Yep, okay. Just making sure that it's all going to work together. So let me give you some wonderful greens. But that have a little bit of a coastal vibe as well. I don't want to take you too grey. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud, talking to myself. I do that quite a lot. I even answer myself, which is even better. Okay, so these look wonderful together. You could do something like, there's a colour here called Morning Breeze. Which would work really, really well with Aria Ivory. So I'm going to show you those two together. So you've got Aria Ivory, and then over here you've got Morning Breeze. They pair back beautifully. We could also look to I'm going to throw another colour in the mix as well. But I'm thinking I might go a little bit, let me just see. There's another beautiful green called Highland Meadow. Now, if you want to go slightly lighter, I'm going to, because I'm thinking with your timber furniture, etc., this is going to look wonderful. So there's a colour here called Highland Meadow. It is just beautiful. I love it. It'd have to be my sort of pick of, you know, sagey style greens, or the greens that are very much in. And I'm going to pair back that with crisp white, because I like the sharpness between the white and the green. I think they work really, really well together. So have a look at those two as well. There is another one. There's a colour just below, a little bit more saturated. However, thinking about a coastal farmhouse, it is going to, if you're wanting to inject a little bit of colour, you could use something like that. And that colour is called Birch Forest. Try those. I think you'll find that with what you've already got happening, I think they're going to work really, really well. Fantastic. There you go. Perfect. Thanks, Cherise. She's just put in here. Perfect. I think that is what we used on our table, Highland Meadow. It's a beautiful colour. So if you're already using something like that, you could continue that through. If you want to go a little bit lighter, there is a colour called White Clover, which sits just above Highland Meadow, or Birch Forest, which is taking it down a notch and intensifying it a little bit more. But it's going to work really well with what you've got going on for that aesthetic. Thank you. If any more questions, pop them into the feed. Very happy to help you. Okay, Elaine, thank you very much for joining us. You're saying we're having our house painted in February next year. We have a freshly painted terracotta coloured roof, but want the house colours to be in naturals with white trims. How can I get advice on the best colour match? So can you just confirm when you're saying we have a freshly painted you're saying that there, it is a painted terracotta colour roof. Okay, wonderful. And you're wanting to paint the house to be in naturals with white trims. Okay, so when I look at terracotta and when I think of selecting a natural or a neutral style tone that's going to work with it really, really well, I like to think of a colour that tends to have more of a greeny undertone. You're probably thinking, what are you talking about? So when it's really simple, if you're at home and you're thinking about, creating your own colour schemes, etc., you can reference a colour wheel, because colours on the colour wheel have been designed that, for example, if I were to look at red, opposite to red would be green. I'm not saying to put green on there, but I'm saying when you look at colours that tend to have that undertone, so if we're looking at a reddy, terracotta-y toned roof, we're looking at the opposite on the colour wheel, it's going to be green. So a tone that has that green undertone is going to pair back wonderfully well. So automatically, I think when we're talking about a terracotta colour, I think about something that tends to have that greeny undertone and sitting within the neutral space. So there's a few colours that we could, or that you could introduce as a neutral and then have white trims. So let me just see if I can find something that's going to replicate the terracotta tone here. I mean, terracotta can vary so much. I'm probably not going to be able to find a really nice one. However, now let me just find, actually, I might even have one here. No, I was hoping for something other than Manna Red on there so I could show you a terracotta tone. I would start to think of colours that with that undertone, and I'm thinking of Brimstone Smoke. I've just got to find it. Perhaps instead of going blade by blade, I'll look at the index. Brimstone Smoke is a wonderful neutral that tends to have a slight green undertone, so it's going to work really, really well. Where are we? 31. So something like that, Brimstone Smoke, it looks, I suppose you could say, oh, maybe too dark, but again, you're looking at a tiny swatch here. When you look at it on a larger scale, it's going to look lighter. Or even going up, we could go up one. We could take it up a notch, which is a colour called Siberian Husky. Or we could start to play, here we go, here's another couple of other ones as well. We could start to have a look in something like Amenity here is a wonderful tone, as is Quill. And there's another tone just a couple down below called Beige Ash. Now, if I can just find something that replicates terracotta, I'll be able to show you how well they sit together. Let's hope this works. That'll do for argument's sake. let's just, oh, maybe not. Can't find a terracotta. Can't find a terracotta to save myself tonight. There we go. That'll do. Here we go. That's good. For argument's sake, it's a darker terracotta. However, there's one of the tones there. I think that is beige ash, which sits really, really well with that, along with even quill. And here we go again. Just pairing it back there, and then introduce a lovely white and you would have a fantastic colour scheme. I'd be looking at, for something like that, using Aspen Snow, which again has that soft sort of undertone. I'll just pop that here just to give you another quick look. I won't worry about the terracotta. But they work really, really well together. So that gives you an idea. If you've got any more questions around that, Elaine, please pop something else into the feed. I'll be very happy to answer some more questions for you. I hope that helps. That's it, guys. We've done our half an hour online. We're going to conclude this evening session. As I said earlier on today, I will be sitting back once we finish streaming for a further half an hour or so. If you do have any images that you'd like to pop into the feed, I'll be very happy to have a look at them for you now and can offer some further colour suggestions. So thank you very much for joining us this evening, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Stay safe. And as I always say, happy painting. Thank you. Bye.